After he enters the room, a white figure comes in behind him. Of figures in the hallways and guests disappearing. And at the epicenter of all this, we have the infamous room 837. Do you think there could be cursed places? Like the ones we see in movies and television shows? Well, I didn't think it was possible either, but then I went to this place a long time ago and I got really sick after visiting it. If it had just happened to me, fine, that's my problem. But it's not just me. Many people have reported the exact same thing about this hotel, which is one of the most cursed hotels in the world. In 2017, I was in Las Vegas, invited by some of the city's extreme attractions to record a video for you all. Those of you who've been around for a while probably remember that. On the last day, I went to visit the famous Luxor Hotel because there was a Titanic exhibition, and I wanted to see this Titanic exhibition, which they say is also cursed. Yes, that's me, about 55 pounds heavier in the United States, right? That's exactly what the United States does to you. So when I left the exhibition, when I left the Luxor Hotel, I felt so sick, really so sick, that I even had to get some oxygen. And when I got back home, I spent about 4 days in bed with one of the worst intestinal infections I've ever had in my life. And that's when my real obsession with investigating cursed places began. I already knew there was something at the Luxor. And today I'm going to tell you what's at the Luxor. So sit down, turn off the lights, and get your little heart ready, because I'm going to tell you just the way I know you like it. The dark, cursed, and mysterious story of the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. Well, anyone who's been to Las Vegas, between casinos and shows there, can hardly imagine what goes on behind the lavish facades of the big hotels. Each one of those hotels there has a macabre story behind it. But there is one particular hotel that stands as a kind of monument to lost antiquity. I'm talking about a black pyramid that shouldn't exist. I'm talking about the Luxor Hotel. It was built in 1990, and it stands out because it has architecture inspired by ancient Egypt. It's a colossal pyramid with 30 floors. There's also an obelisk and a sphinx at the entrance. And for those who pay close attention, there's an energy that just doesn't match the excitement you should feel when you visit Las Vegas. And nobody talks about it. Almost no one dares to mention what happened there, and especially no one dares to mention what happened in room 837. But why? Well, because there are things there that even the desert refuses to bury. Before I talk about the curse of room 837, we need to understand the mistake that was building the Luxor Hotel. Because the choice of the pyramid shape is more than just aesthetics. The engineers claimed they wanted to pay tribute to the grandeur of ancient Egypt. But what they didn't know, or pretended not to know, of course, because they're builders, meaning they're masons, is that the pyramids weren't made to house the living. They are portals, they are repositories of spiritual energy. And in their desperation to get attention in a city that's full of lights, they put a beacon on top of the pyramid, a beam of light pointing to the sky. But after all, what is the Luxor Hotel pointing to? Well, some people say that ever since that beam of light was activated, something started to come, they started to descend through the lights. So it's very common to see lights in the sky, shadows in the hallways, and guests disappearing. And at the epicenter of all this, we have the infamous room 837. In 1994, a year after the opening, the young visual artist Evelyn was one of the first people to stay in that room. She had come from New Orleans to take part in an exhibition about contemporary Egyptian art. And she was obviously fascinated by occultism, by pyramids, and by ancient rituals. She said at the reception that she chose the Luxor Hotel because she felt there was something pulsing beneath its structure. And 3 days after checking in, she disappeared completely. Her room, number 837, was found untouched, with the bed made, all her belongings neatly organized, and her toothbrush was still wet, which means she had disappeared just a few minutes earlier. But what caught the hotel staff's attention was one detail. All the windows in the room were covered with markings made with charcoal, which were words, things similar to hieroglyphs. On the main wall, scribbled in red paint, there was a single phrase written in Latin, and the phrase said, "Illud venite ex tenebris." In other words, that which comes from the darkness. And the poor girl was never seen again, and she is just one of the people who ended up on the list of missing persons in Las Vegas, which, by the way, is a huge list. Now, in 2002, a hotel security guard named Ricardo Mendez, affectionately nicknamed Rick, a Gulf War veteran, a really tough guy, decided to investigate the situations and incidents at the hotel on his own. And he always said that something strange was lurking around the wing of room 837. So, on a specific night, he set up a hidden camera in the hallway on the 8th floor, focused right on the door of room 837. And the footage, which is very disturbing, was locked away for years until an alleged hacker leaked the images on obscure internet forums in 2007. And what appears there, what the camera recorded, is something impossible to explain logically. After he enters the room, a white figure comes in behind him. And what happens to Rick is even crazier because he dies of a heart attack that same week. But what's curious is that the medical report said he had never had a history of heart problems. And the images obviously remain unexplained to this day. And in 2011, during the renovation of the hotel's plumbing system, an engineer named Paul Delaney jumped from the balcony on the 22nd floor. And that's quite common in Las Vegas, especially because people get into debt there and can't pay it off. But he left a bizarre note that says, 837 is not empty, it's awakening. Sorry, I couldn't seal it. The hotel's security cameras showed that in the last 48 hours, Paolo accessed the ventilation system on the 8th floor several times, specifically the ventilation system above room 837. And when the technicians went to check the ventilation system in question, they found a surprise. They realized that the air duct in that room had been completely sealed with concrete from the inside. It was probably done by the engineer himself, right? He says in the note that he tried to seal it but couldn't. Now in 2016, guests reported that at 1:17 in the morning, 9 sirens went off at the same time in the hotel. Oh, but why? Was there a fire happening? No. Was there a gas leak? Also no. The technical team confirmed that no alarm had been triggered by the central system. But even so, the guests heard it. People there on the 8th floor reported screams coming from beneath the floor, as if someone was scratching the wooden boards trying to escape from the hotel floor on the 8th floor. How bizarre is that? And a German family even evacuated the floor before dawn, claiming that the mirrors in the room were crying blood. And a cleaning staff member who was informally questioned said something strange. He said that he thinks the hotel wasn't built on Egyptian land, but on a sarcophagus. And that sarcophagus is opening. Well, officially nowadays, room 837 doesn't exist anymore. On the current floor plan of the hotel, it was converted into a storage room where employees keep tools and cleaning supplies. But the older employees claim that the room is still there, with the door locked, of course, covered by a fake drywall, but that the curse of 837 still exists. Some YouTubers tried to bypass the hotel's security and tried to go there, enter this room and film it. And one of them, more specifically in 2019, a guy named Drew Sullivan managed to do it. He recorded a short, very sensationalist video with a shaky phone and posted it on his channel, and the video really went viral. And what appears in the clip is a door with the number 837 written backwards, like a reflection because of the camera, so it looked like 738, and behind the door you can hear some dripping water sounds, as if there was a tank there, right? Then he tries to force the doorknob, he screams, the camera falls, and the video ends, just like every other YouTuber video filmed in haunted places. But he reappears 3 days later at a subway station, 8 kilometers from the hotel, mute and not remembering his own name. Of course, all of this was just an act to claim that the room and the hotel are really haunted places. But aside from this YouTuber, right, who made up this whole story, we can't deny that the other things that happened at the hotel really did happen. And there's an urban legend that circulates in occult forums saying that room 837 isn't just a haunted place. In these legends, it's said that the place is a submerged portal that gives access to a place called the domain of Dagon, which would be a parallel aquatic dimension described in esoteric texts and Mesopotamian codices. Dagom, yes, the same Dagom who is mentioned in ancient Sumerian cults, who would be one of the old gods that sleep beneath the earth's crust. The Egyptians called this same god Sobek, who is the crocodile god, the lord of the swamps and guardian of the gates to the aquatic underworld. And yes, here on the channel we have a video just about Sobek and his supernatural manifestations. I made this video during my time in Egypt when I did that exclusive series about the mysteries of Egypt here for the channel. It's really worth binge watching, I'll leave the link to the series showing up in the end cards and also down here in the description of this video. Now, the Luxor Hotel, it tries to keep up its appearance. It tries to attract tourists. So there are shows, food buffets, and a bunch of attractions inside. But if you look closely, you'll notice that nobody wants to stay on the 8th floor for more than one night. And when the system allows it, the front desk avoids putting new guests on the 8th floor. Exactly because they know they're going to have problems with hauntings. And the oldest staff knows it. One of them even said so in an anonymous interview to an alternative channel. He said, "This is the price of playing with sacred symbols. They turned a pyramid into a casino. They invoked something that was dormant, and now there's no way to stop it. And room 807 is just the beginning. Well, if you visit Las Vegas, you will definitely pass by the Luxor, and you might even take a picture with the Sphinx inside, just like I did, right? You will admire that beam of light the hotel projects into the sky. But if you go up to the 8th floor and you hear dripping even though it hasn't rained, if you start to feel a cold wind on the back of your neck, or notice the number 837 written in some reflection, know that someone is watching you. And no, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This isn't an urban legend made up by the internet. This is real. The Luxor Hotel is indeed cursed, maybe because of the pyramid, right? Maybe it's because of the construction, maybe because of something that was invoked, or maybe because of the number of people who have taken their own lives inside. What I know is that I am living proof that cursed places exist. And I got really sick, really unwell after visiting that hotel, and I certainly would never go back there. But what about you? You who are watching me, have you ever been to the Luxor? Do you have any haunted stories to tell us from any other place? Tell us down below in the comments. And if you like this kind of video that I make here on the channel, all you have to do is subscribe if you haven't already to this mystery channel. And don't forget to leave your like down below. It's really important. A lot of people watch and don't click like. And stay tuned for new notifications that YouTube probably won't send you. The best thing to do, the wisest thing to do is to stop by here at least once a week. I always post new videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays. We have live streams about current topics. Well, I'll leave you now with another piece of mystery. I want to know all your comments down below and if you watched this video until the end. Comment the cursed number, comment 837 down below in the comments just because. That's our magic word for today, and I'll see you in our next videos.